So we're on number two. We're on number two, which is outline the following network administration tasks. Okay, so you could call this network administration. However, I think an even better name for, or better subheading for this, when you have a look at what all of these are, thank you, they're really all about people. They're all about people, okay? And so in some ways you might call this a more descriptive name, might be, because, administration is a very broad term. It's just like I'm doing all the stuff to make sure this will work, okay? But you may also call this, at least these particular tasks, you might call them user management. User management. Because all along we've been kind of implying this, right? That a network is made up of, what's the basic building block of a network? Someone remember? The node, correct, right? Which is, and a node is any kind of device that you can hook up to a network, okay? By the way, that sort of draws out an important distinction because there's printers and then there's network printers. And the first can't be nodes and the second ones can, okay? So for instance, one of the things that might distinguish those two is that if you go to your home printer, how does your printer connect into your computer? Probably by USB. And if you rewinded back, say, 10 or 15 years back into my day, you had something called a parallel port, which is the same kind of idea, okay? But if you wanted a node to hook into a network for a printer, it's not going to plug in by USB. How's it going to connect, probably? You've got two options. These days, you can get it by Wi-Fi. You've got a lot of printers that are actually wirelessly connected. Or, more common, because it's a bit cheaper, they'll hook in the same way these computers do, which is by Ethernet, okay? So a lot of printers, like consumer printers, they won't even have that port there. So that kind of printer is not a network printer. It couldn't be a node, yeah.
But like, don't you have the home boot function which you can share computers?
Ah, right. That's correct. So you sort of have a software solution, which is, okay, you've got your printer. Okay, and it's hooked into one computer by USB. Okay, and this connection is not designed to be shared. Okay, I remember I was talking to someone and she said, hey, how come I can't get one of those USB splitters, like a 4-way port, and like hook it into that and I can hook in all my computers to it? Well, that'd be kind of like, it's kind of like squeezing 4 lanes into one on a road. It's not really going to fit. It's not designed for that kind of traffic. So anyway, you can get software solutions that will let other computers hook into this one computer and print by USB. But it's extraordinarily, like printers are a bit of a black art. Like they're sort of weird. They don't really work even under the right circumstances. So this way you're kind of asking for things to go wrong and for printing to not work and that kind of thing. So a better way is to actually have a network connection. So you'd have an Ethernet connection. And that would not connect to a computer, but to a router. Okay, that's more common. Anyway, sorry, the reason why I was talking about this, bit of a tangent, see what I did there, is that we've been talking about nodes, but really what that implies is you've got people who are using those nodes, right? I assume they're kind of important, okay? So for them to reside on a network, an administrator needs to carry out all of these tasks, bless you, okay? So let's start with account management. Account management. All right, now, account management, you might think, especially looking at this subheading and this first item, that this is a bit redundant, right? Isn't account management the whole thing? And the answer is no. What's the difference between a user and an account? User and an account. How would you distinguish between them? Yeah, just take a stab at it.
A user is someone who has access to it but doesn't necessarily have to.
This is tricky, isn't it? It's not a distinction we usually think about. Do you want to have another stab, Pock? Yeah.
Users, you can just access it, but accounts, if you have an account account, you're able to access more stuff.
Okay, so we're talking about a difference between the level of access, or the privileges, if you like. I think we're on the right track here. Let me try and distinguish between these. You know where, let's go to a website, shall we? Okay, somewhere like, say, here. Okay, here we go. So, right now, am I a user of this website?
Yes.
I am. On what logic do you say I'm a user of this website?
You're on it.
Because I'm looking at it. I can click on all kinds of things. I can even start to put things inside a basket and start a transaction, right? But do I have an account here? No, I don't, which is why it's saying, sign in, sign up, whatever, okay? So I'm a user, but I have no account. Does that make sense? What difference would it mean to me or to the website whether I have an account or not? We already mentioned one, namely privileges. I can't actually buy anything here, like complete a transaction without an account. What other differences are there? Yeah, Ricky. Ah, bingo. Okay, there's the big distinction. Let's come back to you. Okay, so let's get another color. This is a really important point to get. The difference between an account and a user is the amount of information that is known about these two things. Okay, so right now, most of you who are on not a laptop but a normal computer, most of you are using a particular account that has nothing to do with you. What would we call that? An account that has nothing to do with you. I think actually most of you know this word, but you just don't think about it. It starts with a G. A guest account. A guest account. So it's a guest because they don't really know any information about you, but they're still letting you use it. Okay. So in some senses, right now I'm using a guest account. Okay. It just doesn't say so. Okay. So when a user gains an account that's associated with them, the big difference is information. Okay. A guest account doesn't really have much information associated with it, right? What kind of information would we associate with an account? Let's start real basic. Real basic. What are the first things you type in when you want an account? A username. Okay. What else? What else? Yeah. Okay, so I suppose we could gather those under like sort of contact details. Contact details. Anything else? How is this account, or how's the network going to distinguish you and your username from someone else? Stop someone else from using yours. A password. Thank you. Okay. Password. Sometimes another thing that you might provide is, say, your real name. Okay. Not all accounts are going to ask for that, but a lot do. For example, Facebook and Google+, they sent a lot of waves through the, what should we call it? The social media journalism when they enforced what we call a real name policy, right? That you can't sign up without a real name. I remember a little while ago, I was trying to set up a Google+ account and I wanted to call it Mr. Wu, and they wouldn't let me. They're like, Mr. That's not a real first name. Go back home until you come back with a real name, okay? Which would be really sad if your parents actually called you Mr. But anyway, then you'd be like Mr. Wu. Anyway, so here's a set. Here's a start, okay? So here is the difference in an account and a user. You can be a user without an account. Without an account, okay? A user without an account. Okay? But you can also go the other way, okay? For instance, if any of you have ever tried to share a document with me, okay, on Google Docs, right? So you go to that window, up at the top right, you press share, right? And then a new dialog box comes up and you start to type my name. So you start typing in W-O-O, and then it does, it starts to autocomplete, right? So it starts to guess who are you trying to think of, right? And then suddenly, there's like 15 Mr. Wus. What's up with that? Has anyone ever noticed that? Okay. So what's going on? There's just the one user, namely me, okay? But I have many accounts. Why would I have many accounts? And maybe you have many accounts for different things. because I want to do suspicious illegal activities. Why do I have many accounts? So you can have a user without an account or a user with many accounts. Okay. Well, I think the key to answering this question, why would such a thing like this exist, is really going to be addressed when we have a look at the next thing.